Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unique Peace. I am Janice. I am your host. Today, we're going to be talking with Asia Lee. You got to see some of her beautiful images as we were waiting, and she is a fine art photographer. She has taken pictures of nature. She has taken pictures of presidents. She's the first woman to be commissioned to take pictures for the National Tennis Association. And I'm really excited to learn about what brings Asia peace. I'm going to bring her on in. Good morning, Asia.
Good morning, Janice, and good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here.
And how are you today?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
I try to bring peace and joy through the fine art photography and to let everyone know they are not alone. We forget that we come from nature, we are part of nature, and when we have this need to be loved or stressed or anything, we can always return back to our original mother. And I've come to that because I personally lost my mother, my family, everything at a young age. And I went through all this trauma. And then I just returned back to home, which is this unconditional love.
Wonderful. I get the loss. I can understand the loss and trying to find yourself again.
Yeah.
So what led you to the photography piece? That because your pictures of nature are stunning.
Thank you. I think it just happened gradually. I always worked and then had photography. My girlfriend was taking a course. I kept her company, and then it just snowballed. I just got really lucky. I guess this was where I was being pushed without knowing it because I kept resisting it. I kept dropping it, always feeling not good enough, seeing other great photos and feeling like my work is crap, never ever liking my work. So I would keep quitting and keep quitting. And now it's just, I embraced it and I accepted.
Well, we're glad you did. You have some wonderful pictures here. I love this one. He's
Thank you.
gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I have another little friend here. But my favorite so far is this one.
Oh,
I love this one. This one
why?
is
What
it
do
just
you like about it?
well, I love the fact that you can see the sun rising, but I'm a big fan of purple, so I love how the water looks purple.
Yeah, I have this affinity to purple too. A lot of my images, sunrise images, go into that tone.
Yes, and I'm so happy to hear you did not give up on yourself and you continue to take pictures because now you're at a place where you recognize that your pictures are stunning and beautiful. And
Yeah, I think it's about there is no overnight success. It's this constant effort and continuing to grow. And yeah, it's for me personally, like my New Year's resolution is, where do I want to be? When we're younger, we don't have choices. And also, I think a lot of people, okay, here. Life is not ABC, but it's BCD. And B is for birth, and D is for death, and C is choices. So it's the choices we make every day or the choices we don't make. But it's really difficult to make good choices when we're under stress and if we didn't have that good foundation, or where we can't visualize the possibilities. So it's taking time to see. For me, it was taking time to see where I am and what made me feel so unworthy, unlovable, and not good enough, and to
Yes.
release that and just do it for the pure joy.
Wonderful. I love that. So, as we've looked through some of Asia's pictures that are my favorite, you can also go and see more of her pictures on her website at asialeefineart.com. You'll really get a sense of how beautiful these images are when you take a look at her website. And so, what brings you peace? What do you find brings you peace aside from photography? What is it?
Well, the photography is an adjunct. What really brings me peace is nature. And like it can be the mountains, it can be hiking, it can be, but if you are under stress, I mean, for me, I set my foundation and core for the day. So I am choosing peace on purpose. So my intention is already training my mind and my body. And you have to catch your thoughts. I catch my emotions before they go out. So if I'm starting to feel uncomfortable emotions, sometimes I'll start scrolling through Instagram blindly because it'll be so interesting. And then I'll start feeling like, kind of like, oh, I wish I was here. Oh, I wish. And then I catch myself and then I shut the phone off and then think, like, what can I do? Instead of being spiraling to this like feeling almost like a lack or not enough or not looking good enough or all this like things that I can spiral into. So what brings me peace is my awareness of how I am feeling and catching it before I get there. But sometimes you can't,
Right.
especially the people around you or life stresses. So there are a lot of techniques. I mean, I've retrained my brain with morning gratitude and meditation and journaling and working out that I don't really get there as quickly as I used to. And some things that my brain has just rewired where, I mean, my default used to be depression. So
Okay.
anything that triggered me or I interpreted that I didn't get it or a loss or upsetness, bam, instantaneously. Like some people go to fear, some people go to sadness, some people are able to work through it. For me, back in the day, that's where I was. Now, today, we can literally rewire our brain because our brain is everything is a belief. So, what brings me peace is meditation, but also breath work. So, if you're feeling like any sort of stress, because there's so much stress in this world, if you watch the news, just the environmentally of COVID, all this fear that is constantly fed into us. So just take your time. This is an immediate, I don't like to say hack, it's based on science. It's
Okay.
taking a big inhale. So it's inhaling deeply and then taking another inhale and then exhaling like through a straw. And
Oh, yeah.
does what it does is it tells your body you are safe and you are okay. Because when we're anxious or things trigger us, our bodies thinks it's danger and we go into this stress fear mode. Um,
Right. Fight, flight, or paralyze.
yeah, so we do it unconsciously, automatically, because it's embedded in us from our childhood. Because when we were little, no matter how amazing your parents were, they did not fill all your needs. And it turns out a lot of parents um, didn't have the tools to really nurture um, all of us the way we needed.
Right. And as I'm doing some deep trauma assessments and clearing as well, it's the tools that they were given the generation before. I'm
Yeah,
actually doing one of Dee Wallace's courses. It's a self-guided online course, and she's talking about genetics and ancestral genetics versus the biogenetics
Mhm.
and clearing all of that out. So what you're saying definitely does resonate.
Yes. So it's really about not wanting other people to change because we can't change them. It's using those triggers as clues as what do I still have in me that I'm carrying that I want to transform. And and it's really great because if I look for it consciously, I would not see it consciously. But when I get triggered, I see where my wound still is that I want to transform.
That's beautiful. Now, what are some ways that you bring peace to others?
Um, I guess giving them genuine compliments, being present for them, like when I'm talking to someone, putting my phone down and giving them my attention, making them seen. It's like we forgot to see each other. And when you are seen and acknowledged, you're like, oh, someone sees me, like I'm here. Um, and my daily posts of inspiration of nature, I really made sure during the pandemic where people were, enclosed to bring some of that beauty and nature to everyone.
So, I love that. So, what led you, other than the pandemic and bringing it in, what led Asia to say, I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning and go to the beach every morning and take pictures?
Oh, that started way before pandemic, and
Oh,
it
good.
was it was because I wanted more self-discipline. I felt I didn't have self-discipline. I did I stayed in bed till like 11, 12 o'clock. I would wake up and still stay in bed. And I think it was from this guru. I was watching a lesson, and it just made me think like, okay, I'm going to do something and I'm going to do it no matter what, no excuses. Because how often do we lie to ourselves? We're going to
Oh, too
work out. We're
often.
going to work out tomorrow, or I'm going to be on time, or I'm going to do this, or we just say things blankly without even realizing that we know we're not even going to do it. So for me personally, it was the self-discipline. So it was going to be 7 days to catch the sunrise, no matter what, no excuses. And that 7 days turned to a decade and more. Um, it's it's this self-discipline. So what I learned recently, why self-discipline and difficult things brings us joy, it's like the opposite of happiness. So when I was little, I wanted to grow up and be happy because my childhood was not very happy. So I was chasing happiness. So anything to make me happy, but I wasn't really happy. What I learned is that dopamine has a baseline, just like our body temperature is a 98.6 average, right?
Average, yep.
So dopamine. So the reason why drugs and things that make you immediately really happy and then you go down, because the baseline is here. So if you go here, it's trying to bring you here. So you go down, you get less happy, right? And you want more, and then you need more and more because you keep doing this. So why I do painful stuff like going in icy cold water.
I saw that this morning. Oh.
But what I do also when I go into that cold, I use that pain, the physical pain, for the emotional pain and trauma that I had in myself to release it. So I'm doing mental work while I'm doing the physical. And then what happens is that your happiness comes up to here because it's trying to regulate. So it brings you up, just like it did with the addictions and drugs and stuff. You're constantly trying to chase it here and it brings you here. Now I am doing this on purpose for mental health, physical health, and emotional health.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So
Uh,
find something that's uncomfortable and challenging, and make a commitment to do it. And it could even be something as little as moving a stone. Say you choose a time. like, I don't know, 11 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever time you choose, and you say you're going to go outside and move that stone, and do it every day so that your conscious and your subconscious is in a line. So this also goes into the line of an alignment. So when you want something, your subconscious is working with you. So a lot of times people want things, or they call it manifesting. And it's often doesn't happen because your subconscious doesn't believe you. Like, oh, you wanted this, you wanted to do this and this and this, and you never do. So you're not in alignment. So when you really do want something, how is it supposed to believe you?
And that is beautiful because I do something at night. I follow a woman. Her name is Nora Hibbert, and I love her. And one of the things that is suggested, and it's actually in a lot of books that I read, is to write down an affirmation and listen to it before you go to bed.
Yes.
And that implants it in the subconscious. If
Mhm.
you really want it, and you're consistent and you do the work behind it, but first plant the seed there.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a really good technique of planting the seed there, but the way it's going to work even faster, the reason it works really good before you sleep, because anything you watch late at night, because your brain waves is at a lower brain wave, so it's almost like hypnosis. You're
Mhm.
embedding this belief. Everything is a belief, so you're embedding this belief. So if you do an affirmation that's so far beyond your true belief, sometimes it'll
Okay.
have the opposite effect, because
Yep.
your body will be fighting it. Like, you don't believe that. That can't happen. But you wanna start off with a belief or an affirmation that has some sort of resonating truth. And you can get to that resonating truth by doing just the opposite
Opposite.
too.
Yep.
So you can do, say say, you do a affirmation like, "I am worthy," and your deep core is like, "I'm not worthy. I'm so useless. I'm this and that." And then you question, "I'm useless. Is that really true?" And
Exactly.
then you do the opposite. "When have I not been useless?" And you can see all this
It's
positive
positive.
stuff. So then you start with this thread of truth and you build upon it. So you are working with your subconscious of the truth, because everything is truth of what it's everything is a belief system. So for you to believe the truth, you can also work with the negative by questioning it, so that your affirmations come like this, because now you're working with your conscious and subconscious. You're in alignment with your belief, and that activates that also, depending on what kind of an activation it is, or a manifestation. Say if it's a physical thing, you or a job or whatever, it activates the reticular RAS.
Yes. Yep.
So you're more conscious now, because we can't be conscious of everything. There's billions of bits of information. Like right now, if I said, "Oh, your right toe," right? You're aware of your right toe, but until I mentioned it, you were not aware of it.
Right.
And that's what the affirmation does, because it brings it to your awareness, who you are, what you want, and now you're making a beeline towards that truth.
Right. And another thing with the affirmations is, like you were saying, you have to believe them. If you want to make $10,000 a month and you don't believe it, start with an extra 500 and keep working up. You have to do the work as well.
Yes.
So
It's
that's the other part of it, is doing the work in some way.
And also questioning. So if the 1,000 or the 10,000 or even the 500 is too difficult for you, instead of just saying, "I'm gonna make 5, um, or 10,000 a month," you can see what's triggering you that you're not making that 10,000 a month, or make a list make 100 ways that you can make 100. So you are writing, you are working with it. You're not
That
just waiting for the universe to drop that 10,000. We're given 10 fingers. We're given this body.
body.
We have this body, this mouth, this intelligence that is so powerful that can make more than 10,000 a month, but we need to use it. It's and a lot of people I feel like we've been taught to be kind of lazy, you
I
know,
would agree with that.
and it and that work, you're going to get so much more fulfillment of using your hands, or your doing something to earn that 10,000 than just receiving that
Receiving it.
10,000. Because just receiving that 10,000, when you, like any lotto winners or anybody, just receiving it, it's like Christmas morning or whatever, you get that, oh, yay, right?
And
But
you get
then it doesn't stay.
no.
It doesn't
And
stay.
they've
But when you
actually
work,
found
it just continuously brings you joy, and joy in how you've made that happen.
right, you look back and you can see the success and how far you've come.
Yes.
Um, that is it's like I look back now at certain things and how far I've come. And it is very it's both rewarding and it's like, okay, I can continue to do this and I'm going to continue to grow. And
Yes.
that's kind of what I'm trying to instill in my son, who is a teenager, so he knows everything. We know this already. But I'm still working with it.
You made a really good point, because it's about growth. We are here to grow. Choose the area that you want to grow. Be the 1% in that area, because when you become so great, you can't be ignored. And if you're either growing or you're dying, we're here for growth. A lot of people are under the misconception of happiness, and I was under this misconception for the longest time. But happiness is like chasing that horizon line,
Yes.
or it's like Christmas morning. You just get it for a moment and it goes away. But fulfillment, and this daily fulfillment, it just gives you joy, and it's this growth that continuously gives you joy. And that comes also from being whole within ourselves, nurturing ourselves, and understanding why we want something, because 99% of the time we want something because we think it's going to bring us happiness. So we are chasing this happiness instead of being happy within ourselves, and then doing the growth of fulfillment and joy, where you have literally, I mean, I wake up every morning with tears um, of bliss. Like, I can just go for a sunrise and be there in nature, and just tear up, or morning meditation, just tear up. I'll come back. I'll go into a deep meditation. And when I come back, I know that I was in this such happy place, because I literally have tears of bliss down my
Beautiful.
cheeks.
That's beautiful.
And that's from coming from where, I mean, I attempted suicide, and for so long I was just planning on, like,
Mm,
I wasn't at that depression where people say, "Oh, I was depressed." I mean, I was at a place where I attempted, and I was planning and planning and to be successful the next time. And that's where I was, and to be where
mhm.
my brain doesn't even go to depression. Now I'm aware when I'm having a trigger, and to go into the core, okay, where is this coming from? And to working through that. So it's the awareness of our feelings and our emotions. And all emotions are neither good or bad. They're like the lights. Like when you're driving the car and your oil light comes on, it's neither good or bad. It's
Bad. Just
telling you something for your awareness. So all your emotions are an awareness, and it's okay to be sad. I mean, sometimes I'm this is crazy, but my sadness, I like. there's things that you can be sad, and or give yourself a time to be sad. If you had a tremendous loss, give your time, like,
Yes.
set a time to grieve. Like, if it's like 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, give yourself that time to grieve and then go on with your day. It's not about
Beautiful.
living in that emotion, it's giving yourself, and sometimes crying just gives me bliss, like, just tears, and then afterwards, I'm, like, so grateful to be able to feel the sadness.
Well, with crying, it's that release. You've allowed yourself to release.
Yes.
Um, because and I say that way because I don't like to cry in public or any and it takes a lot to cry in front of others. It's like, and recently, it's kinda like I don't necessarily hide it, but it is that release. It's like, okay, I tend to cry when I'm really angry. Something has made me really mad, and I don't again, it goes back to feeling seen and heard. So if I'm really mad and I don't feel seen or heard, I tend to cry.
Yes,
Eh,
but it okay, so
and I
that's
acknowledge that.
yeah, and that's a really great, like, so you can stay in that, right? That, now you're aware that, you don't feel seen, and now you can work at an inner level, like, "I see myself. I don't need anyone to see me. I am amazing within myself. I see and nurture myself." You'll get to a point where nobody outside can trigger you, to know that it is them and that you don't need to be seen by them. It's really amazing. So, they're all these triggers are, just signs and signals for us to, grow.
To grow, yes. And my next question is, if someone would come to you and say, "Asia, I'm really struggling. I'm trying to find some peace." What advice would you give them?
Mm, there is no one answer, and there's no one healing modality. So, if you are struggling, it really depends what you're struggling. I mean, if you're struggling with depression and you wanna, leave, that the pain is overwhelming, get help. There is help. Call a friend. So it really depends on what kind of struggle it is. If it's just a fight with a friend, whatever, just, find find where, instead of blaming, see what you can do to nurture yourself. And then there's also immediate things you can do. You can also take a warm bath, you can do breath work. Besides that double inhale, there's box breathing. There's so many different kinds of breath work that can give you comfort, but it really depends. There's no one answer for someone who is struggling. It really, I need the details.
Oh, absolutely! I get that. I respect that. So it really is dependent on what someone is coming to you with, and
Yes.
I understand that.
So
So,
give me an example. Give me an example so we can work through.
okay, I'm really struggling with a coworker, and I wanna be I wanna calm down so that I don't yell or have a disagreement in the office
Okay.
and, ch
So
talk to them calmly.
okay. So, one, you can start with, your perception of, he's an asshole, or whatever he is, like, you write down your coworker. Give me, like, one sentence, a very judgmental sentence of
A
him.
very judgmental sentence is, "He's a misogynistic asshole."
Okay, he's a misogynistic asshole. Now you ask yourself, is it true? And oftentimes we'll say yes, because we wouldn't think something like that if we didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Then you ask another question. This is about questioning. How does it make me feel when I believe this? It makes me sad. It makes me angry. It makes me hurt. It makes me worthless. Now you do the opposite. I'm happy, I am worthy. And then you look for some truth in that. Um, I am empowered. Now, you work in that empowerment. So, him being misogynistic doesn't take your power away. Now you come from an empowered, healed person instead of judging him as a wound to you. You it I'm fast forwarding it, but
Yeah.
if we do the work, you will definitely be at a place where his misogyny does not affect you, where you can distance from who he is, who you are, who your strength and your power, because you worked through it. You've seen how he affected you, um, because the reason he affected you is because whatever he's doing, you're believing it as a truth to you.
Mm,
Now you've come to the
yes.
real truth, which is your power, your strength, your worthiness, and you see him as the wounded, and you don't know what created his wound. Not that you need to accept it, you
Right.
separated it. So now it doesn't affect you emotionally, wounding you or hurting you. And now you can deal with it. Like if you have to deal with it in a superior, or you deal with it without a wound place, you deal with it within a power place. Say, when you say that, I am offended. You don't want to use you or this or that. I am
Right.
offended when you make this comment, because then he can't argue with you, because it is the way you feel and you are offended. And he may change and he may not change, but you made your statement, but you also came from a place of wholeness, power, and worthiness.
That is awesome. I love that. And I love how you help to separate the energies, the individual energies, and give advice to the one who feels wounded so that the other one does not affect them. I love that.
Mhm.
And so now, what advice would you give for people who want to get some self discipline? Is there any what I know you've been doing it.
Start with small. There's a fabulous book called Atomic Habits.
I've heard of that book.
Yeah, so what it is we all have a routine. You We always get up the same way. You put on those one sock, before the other sock, you brush your teeth. So whatever habit you have, since you already have a habit, now say you just put it like, okay, right after I brush my teeth, I'm going to do this, whatever it is, so that you are stacking it. I know for me, for the longest time, if I did not do my morning meditation in my morning routine order, and I say, oh, I'm going to do it later, later, and later, and later becomes tomorrow. It doesn't happen because things keep coming up. So stacking habits, it's so fantastic. Or you can just make a commitment to yourself that, okay, for the next 10 days, I am going to give myself 1 minute just to sit quietly with my thoughts and be aware of my thoughts. Right after I brush my teeth, I am going to sit and just be aware of my thoughts. So, that 1 minute, you don't want to do so much that it doesn't fit into your routine.
Right.
That 1 minute, and then you're going to feel comfortable with that 1 minute, and you're going to want to do more, but don't do more. Keep this wanting. So keep your word that you do it for 1 minute for 1 week, then build a habit. Then after that week, you liked it so much and you're in this habit, let's do it for 5 minutes, and then
Build up. I love
that's
it.
how you build good habits. This is why New Year's resolutions and goals don't really work. We're really motivated in the beginning, and motivation doesn't really last. It comes down to our premise, our core beliefs, and the habits that we create.
Now, here's a question. I'm developing my self-care program to
Yeah.
help people understand that yes, you can fit self-care, your self-care into your daily routine. you feel like that self-discipline, like ink yourself in. Make
Yeah.
sure that,
Well,
you know,
that self-discipline is the self-care. So
I love
you
it.
can put that self-discipline, um, when you have to, everyone has what is right for them, their
Right.
self-discipline. Like, for a lot of people, meditation is really difficult because they haven't learned. They think it's just quieting the mind. So there's different forms of meditation,
Yep.
and it's this mindfulness, is being aware, and you don't even need to do it in the morning. You
Yep.
can set your alarm for like several times throughout the day and just check in with yourself. The self-care is being aware of your thoughts, where your emotions are, how you're feeling. And if you're not feeling that great, or you feel this stress, or you feel like, be aware of the stories that you have in your head, and then just take some time. Self-care could be a breath work. Self-care can be, really anything. It's your schedule that
Right.
you incorporate. So you can start off small with checking in, setting the alarm,
Alarm.
checking in, and doing just a couple of breath work, inhaling love and exhaling stress. And that can reset the tone. And also, mindfulness is being aware of what your mind's chatter is. So it takes a while to declutter that chatter and declutter that chatter. And the other thing that's really awesome is, I don't know if you know Yoga Nidra. So
That name is familiar.
okay, so it's not really yoga. It's like a combination of guided meditation, relaxation, and
Mhm.
10 minutes of just doing this. It's going through the different body parts of just, it's a
Oh,
guided
okay.
meditation like yoga. You're not doing yoga, you're just laying there, and you're gonna think of your right foot and relax. Think of your leg, relax. You're just relaxing your body parts, and it's like a million times better than a nap. For me, naps never worked. I'll nap
That's
anywhere
never
from
worked.
10 minutes to 2 hours, and I wake up and I do not feel refreshed.
I
But
am with you.
yoga nidra, it can be, you can, there's all different time, 10, 20, an hour and a half, whatever it is works for you. And it's so powerful too, for in the morning to, if you didn't get a good night's sleep, or before you go to sleep. Yoga nidra, if is another alternative to meditation.
Is that something that, viewers can find on YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
Perfect.
So you can, once you do Yoga Nidra, you can see there's morning ones, there's night ones, there's 10-minute ones, there's from gurus, there's from all different yoga people. So search for the voice and the time that suits you.
I love that. I'll have to give that a try because I have heard of it, I just didn't know what it was.
Oh, absolutely, you will love it. You will absolutely love it. It's powerful, regenerative.
Regenerative. And, what do you have coming up? Do you have anything coming up? Any events that people can enjoy with you or, be a part of? Any showings?
Yes, well, in the spring, I'll have a lot of book launch. Right now, I finished my memoir, The Dragon King's Daughter. Uh,
Awesome.
and I advise anyone, publish or not publish, write your memoir. Write it, because it really, you get to replay your life from an adult, and you get to see in it in a new perspective. And for me, because of the trauma, I had a huge blank space, but it's like pulling a little thread. I had one little memory, okay, one little trauma, big trauma. It was like
Yep.
that trauma of unopening, but it gave me a chance to transform them, my power to my
Wonderful.
pain to power, and that's what the book is really, The Dragon King's Daughter.
Beautiful. And when is that coming out? I know you said in the spring, but do you have a release date?
I don't have a release date. I set the for February 1st that I'll publish it. Right now, I have a couple of lit agents is in consideration. I can self-publish, and self-publish. There's so many benefits to self-publishing,
Right.
but I wanted to go to try the traditional route, and I'm waiting for a lit agent. And if that doesn't happen, then I will do self or hybrid publishing.
Beautiful.
So I
Beautiful.
do not have a date yet, but so it's The Dragon King's Daughter, and it's under Asia Lee.
Beautiful. And do you have any parting advice or words?
Yeah, start with self-discipline, and that's really the magic. You'll find the joy in the discipline, and discipline start with the discipline of keeping your word to yourself.
I love
That
that.
that you're gonna take care of yourself. That you're gonna be aware of yourself. So yes,
Beautiful. I want to thank Asia for joining us this morning.
thank you, John.
And we will probably have you on again once your book is released, and you can talk about how that brought you some peace.
I would love that. Thank you. Thank you. Well,
All right.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.